So I'm a used car dealer, and I have been one for 14 years now. And here's the thing. I sell cars that are actually $5,000 and under, but that used to not be the case. I used to be the car dealer that sells cars for $2,500 and under. And then a few years later, I started to become the car dealer that sold $3,500 and under cars. And now here's where we're at. We're at $5,000 and under. And it's crazy to think how much the car market has changed just in the last 14 years that I've actually been in business. And even more crazy is how much it's changed in just the last few years. So I actually remember back when I was able to go to car auctions regularly and buy 10 cars and not spend $10,000. And here's the thing, there were so many trade-ins that were at these used car dealer auctions that cars that I would buy would be like 2000, 2001 Toyota Camrys with 175,000 miles. And I was able to buy them for like $600, $700, $800. And then car dealers would turn their nose up at those cars. We know now that those vehicles actually lasted for 300, 350, 400,000 miles. And I was able to buy them all day long for under $1,000, sell them for $1,500, sell them for $2,000, roll them, turn them, burn them, make a lot of money on those kind of vehicles. And they were really good cars for a very cheap price for my customer. But here's the thing, those same cars, they're still out in existence. They're out there being traded in to these used car dealer auctions, and they're not bringing $600, $700, $800 anymore. Those same cars are now bringing $2,500, if they're really clean, $3,000. And it hasn't been that long ago that I was buying those same cars that are going for $3,000 today for $600. And here's the worry for my car dealership. I'm a small used car dealer. Here's my worry going forward in this car market is that, okay, new car manufacturers have now figured out over the last few years that they can make a lot more money, these dealers too, these franchise dealers, a lot more money selling fewer vehicles and charging a lot more, bringing their margins way up. And if you think about the dealership model, if they can make twice as much per vehicle but sell half as many vehicles as they were actually selling back, we'll say, 2019, well, that's going to put them in a position where they don't need to sell a lot of vehicles. That means volumes come down. That means trade-ins go down. And that's my big worry, because how I get most of my vehicles is actually from trade-ins to new car franchise stores. When you go and trade in a car for a brand new one, well, those cars that you go trade in, they wind up at used car dealer auctions and wind up back here in my recon pile back here of cars that we just bought from auction. But here's what we're seeing now from these manufacturers and these franchise dealers is that because they realize that the margin game is much more cost efficient and they can make a lot more money doing that, well, that means they don't have to sell as many cars, meaning volumes go down, meaning the availability of cars that I can actually buy goes way down and keeps used car prices way up. And this is what I worry about, because how my business has survived, how I can sell cars for $3,000, $3,500, $2,500 and still make really good money is by turning and burning and doing a lot of volume. But if the cars aren't there at auction, well, then my way of business, it can't exist, because I need lots of cars. I need lots and lots of cheap cars showing up at these dealer auctions. And if people are not going to be buying a lot of these really expensive cars at these franchise dealers and trading in a lot of their burner cars, a lot of these really old cars, then it's my way of life is just not going to exist in the near future. And here's the thing, why would you go trade in a car that's even 15, 20 years old right now that's running really well and go trade it in for a car that you're going to have to pay $750 a month for? People who have those kind of cars, the kind of cars that I sell, they can't afford that. So they're not going to trade in their car. They're just going to make it last as long as they can until it's to the point where the car's burn out and it blows up. And at that point, that car's not even any good to me, because it's not one that I can resell. It's going to need so much work to be put into it, either a motor or transmission, that customer didn't want to do. They traded in, remember, because they had to, and not because they wanted to. And it's because the prices of everything is so expensive.
How did you start your business?
Ooh, this is a good one. So I started my business back when I was 22 years old. Now, my business didn't technically start when I was 22 years old, but I started buying and selling cars. So my grandfather was a car dealer at the time, and I was in college. I was going to school for engineering, and I wanted to do anything but go to class. So there was a Wednesday night auction right over one of these classes that I didn't want to go to. I can't remember what it was, but it was some kind of technical class, and no, I just didn't want to do it. So my grandfather was like, I'm going to the car auction. Do you want to come and help me drive some of these cars after I buy them? I was like, yeah. So went the first time, absolutely fell in love. All the gas smell, the antifreeze going through the lanes, all the hype. The two auctioneers. It was a small 2-lane auction, little country auction. But it was awesome to be around all the cars, all the auctioneers that I couldn't understand what they were saying. These dealers were raising their hand. Everybody was bidding on stuff. My grandfather was buying these cars, and I helped him get them back. And I went to his lot like the next day and said, okay, well, what can I do to help? I want to help more. So the next week I went to the auction again, and I saw what my grandfather was doing, and he was just buying cars and then just putting them out on his lot, and he was advertising them in the little I can't
circular.
Basically it was this little magazine that I can't even remember the name of this
You're not
magazine.
talking about Auto Trader.
Auto Trader is what it was. That's
Okay.
what I couldn't remember. He was putting them in Auto Trader. That's the only place he would advertise. And this was when like the internet was doing really well. So and what I found is that all these other dealers, these used car dealers, none of them were posting their cars online to actually advertise them, and people were looking online for used cars. So I said, okay, well, Grandpa, let's try this. And I've been buying and selling stuff already, and then flipping it like on Craigslist, and that's what I was doing. So I was like, let's try cars, and he would sell about 1 car a week, and that's what he would do. He'd make $1,000 on the car, and that was his goal, and that's what he would average, is just selling about 1 car a week. I put his cars online, and the next day he sold 5 cars in 1 day. So I'm like, you know what? I think I can do this. So I saved up a little bit of money. I think I had $1,000, and I went to the auction and tried to buy a car, and it went a little bit more than what I could spend on it. And I didn't end up getting it. And I was devastated. So I ended up saying, okay, well, if I'm going to do this, I really, really need to do it. And I had a 350Z at the time, and I sold that car. And I sold it for, I think, $9,500. And I bought an $800 car from my grandfather. This car was absolute trash. It was like a 2001 Mazda 626. And the transmission would hit so hard going into third gear that it would physically shift you forward in your seat. And I used the rest of that money, other than that $800, to start buying and selling cars. And my grandfather allowed me to sell cars off of his lot that I was going to auction. And he made me like a sales rep. And I could go and buy cars at auction and bring them to his lot. And I would buy cars for $500 to $1,000 and sell them for $1,500. And just it didn't take very long. It was by the end of probably the first year of me doing it that I was selling more cars than my grandfather was. I never took out any debt to start buying and selling cars, and I grew organically. And it's just I'm very, very thankful to him for being able to get me started the way he was, because I had a leg up on a lot of other people that want to actually become car dealers, because I didn't have to start my own lot. I didn't have to go get a lease. I was able to actually do it through his car lot. So he helped me out a lot, and I just instantly just fell in love with it. Figured out I could sell cars online, and no other car dealers were doing it at the time. I don't understand that. It was only 14 years ago. And they finally caught up. Now the only way you buy cars is from finding them online. But the car dealer system is very backward thinking. Is very stuck in their ways. We did this for all this time. Why change it? And so it's only been in the last probably 10 years or so that used car dealers have started using the internet to actually sell a lot of their cars. And I was just ahead of it for a small used car dealer. And we killed it and grew very, very, very quickly. And I'm happy where we are now. But the car market used to be fun. It's not fun anymore, but I'm glad that we have a team that's able to do a bunch of stuff that I don't want to do now. And now I'm sitting here in front of you, making YouTube videos, telling you about what used to be fun in the car market, and that's my job now, is talking on this microphone. One thing that was where my wife kind of fits into all this is that I was able to spend all that money that I had and reinvest it into the business, because my wife had a big girl job whenever we first got married, and all of her money that she made at her real job was able to pay all of our bills. And that's why we were able to grow so fast, is because I was able to just reinvest. Now that means I never took a paycheck. So we didn't start getting paid until probably 6-7 years after we started buying and selling cars.
I don't think it was 6 or 7. What do you think? So
It was at least 5.
I think there was a little bit, like there was some at 4 or 5, and
Yeah.
then it did increase over time. And then in 2019, I left my job and joined this mess.
Yeah.
So anyway,
And now she's successful.
I was doing pretty well before.
Yeah, she was. She had a real person job.
I love that job too.
All right. Long story.
Oh, good.
Do you want me to answer the question or no?
Yeah, sure. I mean, are you going to answer the question? Just because
I'm going to answer the question. If I get off the rails, though, bring me back. All right. So I was 22 years old. Here's another funny thing. I said the other day in a video, I'm getting off topic real quick before I answer this question. Yeah. But I looked at the camera, and we were talking about stress and owning a business. And I looked at the camera. I said, look at me. I'm 25 years old. And we put that in video. And my wife laughed hard right after I said that. It was obviously a joke. And you people, you don't understand it. And there's so many comments saying, you just said that you've been a car dealer for 14 years and you can't be 25. That's typical of a used car dealer, always lying about something. You people are so stupid. Stop. I'm going to joke about something. I'm joke about stuff all the time. Please read the room. And no. Okay. All right. So I'm going to answer the question now. And one thing I just mentioned Canada. I want to pull something up. So in a video that we put out, I think last week, I answered a question and I said Canada over and over and over again. And it blew my mind how many of you people did not know that I was joking. So it's a funny, this irony that's happening back and forth, because the person who's putting in the comments that it's not pronounced Canada, it's pronounced Canada, obviously doesn't realize that I'm joking, and they think that I'm an idiot. And then I think that commenter is an idiot for not recognizing that it was a joke. So we're both thinking that we're very, very stupid, and I don't know who's right. I think
I do.
Next question.
Next question.